If you give a man a gun and give him 1 day's training, what is he gonna do when he hears the thunderous roar of a HIMARS barreling towards him with one of its rockets fired? This is a video of mobilized Russian soldiers. These are soldiers from Russia who were recently mobilized by Putin's grand mobilization, which has totally been going swimmingly, by the way. I mean, it's not like there's a ton of people complaining about 60 and 50-year-olds being mobilized and how people are getting terrible equipment with rusty AKs and you know, very little ammo, and they're getting very little training, and the blame's being pinned on Shoigu to try to remove any blame from Putin. No, that's totally not happening. But apparently, these are soldiers who have been deployed near Svatovi. I never know how to pronounce it correctly. But if you don't know where this is, I think it might be a good idea for me to bring up the live map for a moment. So this is a location that the Ukrainian military is currently barreling towards. It's right here. This map is not updated. More territory has been taken by the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainians are advancing from across the Oskil River in 2 directions, from below and above, towards this location. It's a major rail hub. If it's captured, it will cut off areas like Kremina, you know, Lysychansk, Severodonetsk, and all of this area from vital rail supplies and redeployments from places in the north. So this is an extremely strategically important location for the Russians, and the Ukrainians are barreling towards it, because if they can capture this, then they can possibly recapture Lysychansk, Severodonetsk, and other locations, and open up the rest of Luhansk to be recaptured by the Ukrainian military. So it's very important for the Russians to keep this. Anyway, back to the video. These are mobilized troops that have been deployed close to the front line in the Luhansk region around this strategically important location. And they said that they were mobilized from Moscow, from the Moscow Oblast, only 11 days ago. And somehow they're on the front line after only 11 days. They say they've only been given a single, that's right, a single day of training. 1 day, numero fucking uno. And then during that day of training, they were taught how to fire a few magazines of ammunition. And now here they are on the front line of a major European war, where they're going to be facing HIMARS, artillery, mines, indirect fire, shrapnel, injuries. They're going to have all these issues, and they've been sent there with that little training after being mobilized 11 days ago. Let's listen to what these guys have to say about their military experience in the Russian military. With such bullshit, they don't sit in some strange house. 3 armored personnel carriers. This is our house. Guys, we are in Svatovi. What is this? We are in Svatovi. Which region? Luhansk region. We are mobilized. We are not obliged to be here at all. 11 days since the moment of departure. We left Moscow 11 days ago. How many times have you fired? 1. 3 times. What is your specialty? WUS. What is yours? I am a senior gunner. Are you a builder? No. I am a builder. Hello. And this was set up by the guys who were against us before. All this is not in Russia. I think all this is not in Russian. There we go. Okay. So this is translated very poorly, by the way. I've picked up more and more Russian as it's gone. This is not the best translation, but you get the general idea. They were sent from Moscow 11 days ago, not because they wanted to volunteer out of some patriotic feeling of like, you know, Russia is the way to go. We love Russia. Russia is it now. They were mobilized. They were forced to go. And 11 days later, after a single day of training, due to how poorly this mobilization is going, they've been put on the front lines, some of them only having fired their gun a single time. Do you guys seriously think that these people will be able to keep that city out of Ukrainian hands? Do you think that these people will be able to maintain an occupation? You know, Defense Minister Shoigu, the Russian defense minister, recently claimed, I think a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, morally corrupt, bankrupt man. Bid Nasty, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub to Elon. I appreciate that. He recently said that already 200, and this was like a few weeks ago, so this is already late. So according to Shoigu, there should be more people deployed in Ukraine now. Already 200,000 Russian soldiers have been deployed to Ukraine. That's a lot. Already 200,000 mobilized troops have been added to Ukraine, added to the Russian military deployment. That would raise their military deployment from like 280,000 to like 580,000. It's a rough estimate. We don't have exact numbers. That's massive. That's a massive deployment of manpower. That's something we should be able to see the effects of on the ground, but we're not seeing the effects of it on the ground. The Ukrainians still continue to recapture territory. The Russians aren't launching any brave counteroffensives. What's going on? So I'm going to propose 2 scenarios. Either A, Shoigu is lying, which is absolutely possible. Would it be the first time the Russian government has lied about the war in Ukraine? We all know that here. Or it could be, and I want you to entertain this for a moment, because we're getting videos like this. This is not the only video like this. I didn't have to dig around for this video. It just appeared in my feed. That's why we're talking about it. Or maybe the soldiers are being deployed with such few instructions, so little time to train, so piss poor equipment, with an unfamiliarity of the local landscape and what exactly their goal is and what they are to expect in this war zone, that they're just practically having no effect. If you give a man a gun and give him 1 day's training, what is he going to do when he hears the thunderous roar of a HIMARS barreling towards him with one of its rockets fired? What are they going to do? What are they going to do when they take indirect fire from a tank? What are they going to do when they take direct fire from an artillery gun? What are they going to do when they get shot at? Do they have proper medical training if one of their comrades blows off their leg because they stepped on a mine, either deployed by them or the Ukrainians? No, they're going to have no clue what they're doing. They will barely know how to shoot their own gun. And you expect these guys to conquer a whole other country that doesn't want them there? How are these guys going to protect a strategically important, rail, a strategically important rail hub that the Russian army needs to protect if they're going to hold on to much of the Luhansk Oblast, which they recently annexed, by the way? How are they going to do that with a bunch of untrained fools who don't even want to be there? Well, I guess you can't call them that foolish. They didn't even want to be there. I guess foolish enough not to get to Georgia, though. Foolish enough not to flee to Miami or Kazakhstan. These people have been sent on a suicide mission. This is no different than the German Volkssturm when they deployed that in 1945, which was Goebbels' personal army trying in a last-ditch effort to try to stop the Russian advance. But let me tell you, the Volkssturm did not work then, and this will not work now. Especially since these people are being deployed in a foreign land. At least with the Volkssturm, they knew what their city was like, you know? They're Germans. They know what Berlin was like. They know what Dresden was like. So when they were defending these cities, at least they know the city streets. These people don't even have the advantage of that because they've never been here before. This is the first time any of them have been in Ukraine, for many of them. They certainly don't know where this one specific tiny city in the middle of Luhansk is. They don't know what the local landscape is. They don't know the locals. These are guys with no idea where they are, no training really, not really decent equipment, pretty piss poor equipment if I'm being honest, and they don't know the local landscape. I'm going to be for real, these guys are doomed. If these guys get out alive, they will be lucky. They will not be able to refurbish the Russian war machine and get it in a condition where they could start launching counteroffensives again. These people have been thrown into a meat grinder in the desperate hope that they will stabilize the Russian line. The Russians really need to reform their mobilization efforts if they're going to get anything out of it outside of political suicide. What a disaster for the Russians. What a disaster. Honestly, I feel bad for these guys. These guys didn't sign up to go. They've been forced to go. And then they've been given the worst conditions possible and no training on how to survive. If they barely know how to shoot, how are they going to deal with the hell on earth that the Ukrainian army is going to unleash upon them once they reach the city? God, I hope these guys, if they know nothing else, I hope these guys know how to surrender. Which, by the way, comes with a 10-year prison sentence in Russia now because the Russians have seen too many of their soldiers surrender to the Ukrainian army. I'm sure that'll work.